go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MT4MH studios, where we spread our love and we share our ketogenic lifestyles. This is the Find Your Keto show, and I'm your host, Stephen T., ready to guide you on your low-carb journey. Today's guest is Janet Ebos, a registered holistic nutritionist, metabolic mental health advocate, and board director at Metabolic Collective. Janet's journey into metabolic psychiatry was not born from theory or trends, but from lived experience. After years of navigating the chaos, uncertainty, and emotional toll of bipolar disorder within her family, she began searching for answers beyond the standard psychiatric model. That search eventually led her into the world of ketogenic and metabolic therapies, where she witnessed firsthand the profound connection between metabolism, brain function, and mental health. Today, Janet is helping lead the growing movement, bringing awareness to metabolic therapies for psychiatric and neurological disorders. She is also the founder of MAMAS, a support initiative focused on helping mothers and families navigating serious mental illness. In this conversation, we'll talk about Janet's childhood, her diet growing up, the caregiver experience that changed her life, discovering metabolic psychiatry, the realities of implementing ketogenic therapy in the real world, and why she believes hope itself can become part of recovery. Great to have you here, Janet. How are you today?
Thanks, Stephen. What a nice intro. Yeah, I'm doing great today. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm doing very well. The fact that I'm even conducting an interview and having a podcast shows you how well I'm doing, because it hasn't been a great last 12 or 15 months for me. And, I didn't have the brain capacity to be interviewing people, and that leads me right into what I wanted to get into off the start. So you and I share a mutual friend, Mia Mendez, and she talks all the time. She raves about you and how you're such a big supporter of hers. And I feel the same way about you. For me, that you've been a big supporter of mine. You've been a friend, and it's a unique combo where I feel like you're nurturing to me, sort of like a mother figure, but also like a friend at the same time. And if you remember, I think it was September, and I was not doing so well. I was having a hard time keeping it together, and I reached out for help. Now, one of my weaknesses over the years is not reaching out for help when I need it. And I'm starting to correct that and get better at that. So I reached out for help. I needed some accountability. And this is really my first opportunity to really sincerely thank you for that, because you stepped up to the plate like big time, and you gave me exactly what I needed. You held me accountable, and I started on an upward trend back in September, and it's been really hasn't been perfect, but it's been all good since then, and you were a huge part of that. And so I sincerely thank you for helping me and nurturing me the way you did.
Wow, thank you. I didn't realize it had such an impact. I see so much value in you, Stephen. So we almost think everybody's doing okay because, we're supporting others, we're leading advocacy, but there's always things going on behind closed doors. So it's weird that we've never met in person because you really do feel like a good friend. But thank you very much. I appreciate that.
I feel the same way. It's too bad that you couldn't have made it to the Metabolic Revolution rally, because that's the one event that I went to where I got to meet a lot of people. And I got to meet Kristen and all the doctors, and that's where I met Dr. Eid and everybody. And it was awesome. I met Mia and Eric Rogers, and I wish Hannah could have been there. I wish you and so many other people could have been there. Eventually, I will have the money and the time, and I'll be going to a conference, and we will all meet.
Yes, we will, for sure.
Just a matter of time. So to start things off, I have an opening question I've been asking people, and it's about your personal strengths. So we all have strengths that carry us through challenges, and I want to know, what do you consider your strongest traits or skills, and how have they helped shape your ketogenic journey?
I think throughout all this, I think I just kind of have a high frequency. And what I mean by that is I almost expect things to go well. And it doesn't mean they always do, but when they don't, then I just envision another best possible outcome. And that there is something to that with like raised frequencies of keeping like these positive emotions and feelings and letting things unfold and accepting what is. And I think that's really what's gotten me through all of this.
That's a really great trait. It sounds like you're talking about hope and positivity right there, right off the top. Yeah, I love that. Okay, so one of the things, I'm known for is getting into people's childhoods. The audience loves it. I love it. And I really want to get to know you on a personal level. And even if we weren't recording, these are all questions that I would want to ask. So, did you grow up in Canada? I know that's where you are now.
Yes, I did. I grew up pretty close to where I'm living right now in southern Ontario.
Not anything about food or anything, but just what was your childhood like growing up?
Oh, it was really good. I have two older sisters, so they were 5 and 6 years older, and I don't know, I was just the spoiled youngest sister. We lived a modest, just middle class family, and I was generally a happy kid. And I mean, we can talk about it more later, but you look back at some things and you might see it a bit differently. But my parents were really good to just kind of accept me for what I was. I was a little more hyperactive, I guess, than my sisters, a little more annoying, I'm sure, but I had a lot of energy and a lot of dreams, and my parents were just very supportive of that. So I would say it was a very, very good childhood.
That's good to hear. Not a lot of people are able to say that. Most of the people I'm interviewing have suffered with mental health conditions, and so not everybody's childhood is like that. You're very lucky.
I definitely am. I do appreciate that for sure.
So now let's talk about food growing up. What role did food play in your household? What was your diet like growing up?
Oh, I think it was like the typical 70s where all that, I don't know, my mom was, pretty good for what was going on at the time. Like she cooked our meals, but then we still had the craft dinner, and we had, the Campbell's soup, and we wouldn't get the sweetened cereals, but we had the cereals, Rice Krispies and Cheerios, and we never had pop in the household. So like there's some really good things, and then other things, like when I look back, we know a little bit more now about maybe it wasn't completely healthy, but I think it was pretty good for that day when they thought saturated fat was bad. So we had the margarine, and butter was always a treat, and so I feel like it's a little bit typical in the North American growing up in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and from talking to other people in Canada, we call it the standard American diet, but it's North American really. A lot of us are going to agree that butter is a treat. We all love butter, right?
I do.
So you guys probably didn't really discuss health and nutrition in your home, besides whatever the standard dietary advice was, that cholesterol was bad and those kind of things, right?
We didn't really discuss it, but when I look back now, and my mother, luckily my middle sister Linda, she remembers everything that I think I was just so, I just wasn't as aware of like anything health related with my parents because I was a little bit younger. My mom never would take a pill for anything, not even Tylenol. I don't even think she's taken a Tylenol. And if the doctor wanted to prescribe something, she did say, hang on. And she would read she would change her diet. So she was very cool that way. She would say, give me a chance. And, so she would try to use food. And, you could see some health books at home. And so there was a little bit of an influence. Like when I started getting into nutrition, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Like my mom was sort of ahead of her time, giving us oregano oil and cod liver oil and stuff like that. So, but we didn't discuss it. We didn't discuss it beyond just helping like a natural remedy. It was more like a natural remedy discussion versus, how much protein do you need a day or anything like that. We never discussed anything like that.
Right, but that sounds like you got a great exposure early on in life.
Yeah, I did.
Do you remember as a kid, did you struggle with any physical or mental health symptoms?
I did when I was it was grade 6. I actually thought I was going blind because it was a migraine. But, I had never had a migraine before, and you lose part of your peripheral vision. It's called an aura. It kind of just came on suddenly. And I remember the teacher looking at me and saying, like my face went completely white. And she said, oh, maybe just put your head down. And so that was my first migraine. My dad suffered from them as well. And they would be so bad. It would be vomiting and losing like peripheral vision. And so the doctor, gave pills. He said if you take them just when you first start seeing the aura, they might stop it. I don't think they help very much. So I sort of would have one or two a year, and they kind of went away a little bit when I went to university, and then they came back in kind of in a weird way. And well, I mean, we're getting ahead of my childhood, but when I started changing my diet, I don't get them anymore. Gluten and sugar really I went off that just for my brain because my mom had Alzheimer's and my migraines stopped. So a lifelong of migraines, bad ones, vomiting, like even at work, I would always have a bag, like a plastic bag in case when I was driving home, if it was one of those days I had a headache. So just in case I had to throw up, like I would have it in my car. That sort of started when I was around, I don't know, 11 or 12. But I had that, I would say, again, you look back, I did have a lot of brain fog, but I thought that was just normal at the time. Like, especially I was more aware of it in high school and university. But you don't call that an ailment. You just think that's normal. You're tired in the afternoon. I can see that, yeah, that was a little bit debilitating. I had a hard time concentrating in school, like listening. I couldn't really take anything in orally, like any oral learning. I would have to crunch it at home by reading. I was a good student, but like there was one of our teachers read like a chapter of a novel every day, and the kids were always excited to hear it. And I remember I never took any of it in. It was just like a waste of time for me. So yeah, looking at the time, I thought my only health issues was migraines. But now I realize I had a bit of brain, like cognitive issues that I was able to overcome with just using other kind of techniques. So, but now I'm better. So now I know.
You already beat me to my follow-up. I was going to obviously ask if the migraines got better. I can't imagine what it's like having a migraine that bad that you're throwing up. I've never had that happen. I've had headaches, but never anything like that. Like, it's got to be so miserable.
Yeah, and there was like something triggered it besides, it must have been the trigger of stress or lights or something. Like we just couldn't figure it out. But now I can have stress. I can have, bad lighting. I don't get them. I got to be careful with my sleep. But so I can feel a heavy head if I don't get enough sleep. So I changed my sleep as well. And I'm pretty strict I go to bed around 9:30, 10. I get up about 5:30 or 6, whatever. That I do so I don't get that. I always just call it a heavy head, but it's never been as bad as those migraines. I can't hear.
Yeah, because I was muted. That's why.
Okay, start again.
You and I have exactly the same sleep schedule. I'm trying to get to sleep at 9:30 every night and wake up at 5:30, even on days that I'm not working.
Yeah,
It's funny.
I love getting up early. I feel like I miss something if I don't get up early, but I guess I'm an early bird.
I do it on my work days. I usually sign in to work at 6:30, so that gives me an hour, roughly an hour. I want to go take a walk and do some mobility and stuff like that. And then on the weekends, I love it because my wife and daughter are sleeping in, and I've got the house all quiet all to myself, and I can do even more of that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
find for myself that, but sometimes I want to like give myself a treat and I want to sleep in on the weekend. But I feel like when I do, I don't feel as well. I feel more tired and stuff. So I'm better off just getting up the same time every day if I can.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So let's shift into early adulthood. I want to know what did your diet look like in early adulthood? Maybe you want to move to like when you moved out of the house or something. What was the next phase of your diet look like?
Yeah, when I moved to university, the first year we had like the cafeteria. It was interesting. I was still pretty good I just drank water. I was never drinking pop or juice or anything like that. And I ate lots of carbs. I loved sweets and liked sandwiches and stuff like that. So I did have a sweet tooth for sure. And then I went through like major health phases. Like I think I would eat stuff that was like basically like cardboard. Like there was a time you thought salt was bad for you, and then I did like no salt, which we know is ridiculous now, but And everything was so bland. I'm sure people were very polite if I invited them over for dinner. But I remember that, like going to the health food store and getting these granola bars that tasted like cardboard. So I went through that phase. Then I did a year vegetarian phase as well. I wanted to try that. And I can't remember why I wanted to try it. I think I just thought it'd be healthier. But I wasn't like studying a lot of it or reading a lot of books. And I then I was got pregnant or were just trying to have children, and I think that's when I got nervous that I wasn't really getting enough protein, that I didn't know if I was doing it right. So I started eating meat again, and I don't remember how I felt in that phase. But then I did a month, then, fast forward a bit, I tried a 1 month vegan reset again, just to try it. And it's funny because like I've always been pretty lean. Oh, I did get a little chubby in 1988 when my friend and I went to, I was eating a lot. We went out west to work at Whistler and Lake Louise. And Lake Louise is a Chateau Lake Louise we worked at the Chateau and in Alberta. And one of our jobs, like we were bus girls, but one of our jobs was to go down to the pastry shop like in the morning, 6 a.m., and go up the service elevator, and we'd be like stuffing our face with the pastries and taking some home. Anyway, and then we were in Whistler, we worked at Nasty Jack's, so lots of burgers and nachos and stuff. Kind of typical, When I got back in September, back to school, I wasn't used to being I was always kind of used to being lean. And so it was like, whoa, I don't even feel like myself. So I did major, it's almost embarrassing if I'm sure the aerobics I did. I must have just looked like an idiot in the aerobics class because I was like working harder than anybody. And also I was eating 3 meals a day, no snacks, plain chicken with some vegetables, and I was able to lose the weight, and I was happy. But what I was going to get to was I've always my body type, if I'm going to gain any weight, it goes to my stomach, my belly. And so, so I was kind of in a time in my life getting a flat belly, which I'd never had really, I was really happy with it. And then I did the vegan reset for 1 month, and my belly came back. I just was so bloated the whole time. And so that was that experiment. Then we did, as a nutritionist, one of the recommendations for a lot of things, especially autoimmunity, is the elimination diet. So I did a very complex one. I bought a book it's called The Elimination Diet. And we followed it exactly. So my partner and I followed it exactly. And it was kind of fun. Then you would add stuff back in. So that was good. And then we discovered keto, which I know you're probably going to ask me about. And then we started doing keto diet. And I do plan to do carnivore for 6 weeks. I've never done it before. I was going to do it because, again, as a nutritionist, I want to experiment with everything. And I know when people are at rock bottom and they just they don't know what else to do, that's often when they find that, just as a really great elimination diet. Then you don't have to worry about making it complicated. It's one of the best elimination diets. So but this summer we kind of grow leafy greens and stuff. So anyway, so that is my little journey of eating. And now I do eat a ketogenic diet. I have since 2022 when I discovered it in solidarity with my son who has bipolar disorder, finding out that it was a possible treatment for, mental health issues. So, but because my mom had Alzheimer's, I was trying to find the best diet for my brain anyway. And it is the best diet for my brain. But because, I don't have any severe illness, I don't have epilepsy, I don't have a psychiatric illness or neurological, I can go off it. If say I'm in Toronto visiting my daughter, we go to a nice place that has, even like a good quality pizza, I can have some pizza, not bloat. Like I think my gut's healed. Like even gluten wouldn't bother it a one off, and I'm fat adapted, so I can have that. It doesn't set me off, and then I just go back to keto. So it's kind of nice. But generally, I enjoy eating this way anyway.
What about migraines? If you have pizza, is it bothering your head?
Nope, no, no. I can have a non-keto meal. I can have pizza. I can have gluten. It doesn't trigger it anymore. Something's healed within me where, it's almost like your body can handle it. Like if your body is overloaded with toxins, then a little thing might trigger it. But when you're pretty solid, your organs are working great, your blood sugar's great, your immune system's great, your gut is healed, especially your gut. You get a toxin, your liver or whatever's like, no problem, I got it. I've been bored, so bring it on. And your liver's bored, and then that's what I think. So I think the migraines were just a combination of many things, but for sure the sugar and gluten, constantly eating sugar and gluten is just, it overloaded my body.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially what you're saying about healing over time, because I know for myself, the times that I've gone off over time, it's not as affecting me as bad. And I've spoken with other people in the community where, they have a binge or they have a weekend or whatever, and they're surprised that it's not bothering them as much as it used to. I think a lot of us, the longer you do this, I think the more you can heal. I know I'm
Yeah.
6 years into using ketosis and I'm still learning, I'm still figuring it out, and it does get better. I have a seasonal thing where when fall's coming. I even feel it as early as the end of July, early August. Here, when the days start to get just slightly shorter, I can already feel it. And then this time of year, it's summer's coming, and I can get a little depressed in the fall, and I can get a little hypomanic in like the spring and the summer. But I've noticed over time that those effects have become less and less as well.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
a great
amazing.
message to put out there, especially there are like this whole keto for mental health thing is really exploding, especially in the past couple of months. And there are so many new people trying this. And I know from being on the ground running Mia's meetup, there's new people coming in there all the time, and they're trying really hard. And it's really good to put the message out there that this is a long journey we're on, and the longer you
Mm-hmm.
stay on it, the better life can get.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, and I'm laughing that you said you're like, well, I've always been lean, but that one time in '88, I did get a little bit chubby. It's hilarious.
I did.
I
My kids saw pictures of me, I guess during that time, and like, Mom, it's like I threw them out, but I shouldn't have. Like, it's just I wasn't used to it. But
Yeah.
anyway.
I put on weight the same way you do. It always goes around my midsection. And um, since my life has been stressful the past year, and I put on some extra weight, and nobody knows it, and I tell people I'm trying to lose weight, and they don't understand it. And even when I first changed my diet, before I got into keto, when I first changed my diet, I was 50 pounds overweight, but nobody would know it. Today, I'm a couple pounds heavier than I want. I'm wearing a size 30. I was in a 36, and they were getting
Oh,
tight on me. So I went from the 32 to 34. When I went to 36s, and then when it was like I needed to move up, I was like, no, I got to do something about this. And I called myself fat, and people will say you're not fat. You shouldn't say that. You're going to insult real fat people. But I was fat for me. It was just all up
hmm.
to my midsection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
It is, especially when at the time I had a 2 year old and I'm trying to get on the floor to play with her, and simple things like trying to put on my shoes, and I can't reach very well. I can't stretch, all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's move on. We're going to move into the bipolar disorder and caregiving because I'm really interested about this. And I know that there's tons of family members out there that want to hear about your story. Can you tell us, when did bipolar first enter your family's life?
Yeah, so my son, my oldest son, and he's, very open about this, so he doesn't mind that I talk about it. It started with depression when he was in high school, which just, wow, I was even shocked then because just really charismatic kid and did great in school, lots of friends on student council and whatnot. And I think he was hiding this, like trying to put on a front that he was a happy guy. And wow, as a mother, as they say, you're A mother's as happy as her least happy child. So that really affected me. He managed to just get through first year, but then he hit rock bottom at the end of first year university. And it was scary because, this is a tough topic, of course, but you know that there's suicide ideation when you're so low. That's the worst thing you could ever imagine as a mother. So I was just grasping for any help I could get everywhere, like any healthcare professional, any medical professional, even plant medicine. He went to Costa Rica. We went to New York for brain spect imaging with Amen Clinic. Like I would do anything. I would spend my last penny on finding the answers for him. Then his first psychosis happened on December 23rd, 2020. So 2 days before Christmas. And I was terrified. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anything about bipolar disorder or psychosis so it was scary. He had agreed to go to the hospital, but I think the scariest moment of this whole journey wasn't that night when we had to bring him in. It was the next day. So I thought when I went into the hospital, he would say, oh, hey mom, like, sorry, whatever, I did this weed or I did this or whatever. And, I feel better now. I got sleep. I thought that's what it would be. And I didn't sleep all night. I went, and they won't tell you anything because he was an adult, right? The hospital won't tell you much. And he said, I saw him and he was walking across from his awful room because he was sort of in what do you call that? Not solitary confinement or anything, but kind of, so he wouldn't hurt himself. And he just walked across the hall to the nurse's station. He saw me, goes, hi, mom. And it was like, oh my God, where is my son? Like, what do you mean? Hi, mom. Like, you couldn't even talk. He was not, he was still in a manic psychotic state. And I think that would be my most gut-wrenching moment when I thought he had brain damage and it was for life, caused by drugs. But I didn't know, Stephen, this is why we need these caregiver communities. We need to have people say, hey, don't worry, it's going to get better. It might not be perfect, but I didn't know that. Nobody told me. I thought I lost my son. I really thought he was brain damaged. So that was horrifying at that moment. So that was my sort of introduction to the manic part. And from that time, there was hospitalization every year. And I could tell you the first one was how many months after. I can name all the dates. But they were getting a little bit further apart, each one. I'm usually they're you read those dumb textbooks and they're or, the handouts you get from CAMH is the Canadian mental health, the mental health and addiction organization in Canada, and they say it just gets worse. That's what the handouts say. I was reading it recently. I found it I was just cleaning out some drawers, and but no, his were getting further apart, and he would sometimes try medications and then sometimes just go off them cold turkey. But after the fourth hospitalization, I said, you know what? I'm not going to bring you back there. I promise you. I'm not going to bring you back there. And it's not good. They didn't even have an exercise room. Manic people need to run around and just they need to do physical things. And they didn't even have an exercise bike, hardly let him go outside. And he's a very, one with nature. So I got training by Georgia Eid. And we were able to talk about my son, and we would meet up every week. And so I knew a little bit about the medications. I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a prescriber, but I knew that I might take on the psych nurse. And like the whole thing about if somebody's manic is you got to get them to sleep. So this is where medications are good to help them sleep. And so one of the antipsychotics could serve as that, like a little bit higher dose. So the last time he had one was actually 2 years ago, and we kept him at home, and it was tough. It was really tough. And you speak about Mia Mendez. She was like counseling me through the whole thing. She's my son's mentor, but she was my mentor, helping me. That was my introduction. That's where I am. That's what got me all involved in all of this. And here I am today. And my son's doing better. And like there's been a big turn. I really think he's figured it out. Like he's going to figure it out. And it doesn't mean it's going to be what I think's going to help him. He's an adult. But, often a parent wants to, like they're so desperate for their child that they're trying to figure it out for them. But we have to remember that, you know what, it's their journey. There's going to be bumps, but you have to just believe they're going to figure it out. And it might not be the way you think would heal someone, or how some of my friends heal, themselves, like you or Mia Mendez. It might be it might look differently. And so I'm starting to surrender more.
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
I think how lucky are both of you to have Mia helping you, because she just has such a special gift for helping people. She's just an amazing and special person, and you're really lucky to have her in that capacity.
Yes, I agree.
So there must have been moments during that time, and you said in the beginning that your strongest trait is your sense of hope. There must have been times in there where you were feeling hopeless and overwhelmed by the whole thing, right?
Yeah, that day, like at Christmas or December 24th, I felt like I had no control. Like I definitely was hopeless for that moment. But I don't know. I just I wished I would go into the hospital, and I would just say in my head, I wish for the greatest possible outcome. I wish for the greatest possible outcome. And I would picture him well, and if I couldn't picture him well, I would picture him in a dress shirt. That was my little technique. And then, now he's dressing really nicely. And Mia had texted me once. She said, he's wearing a dress shirt. And I remember what you said. So I think there's a lot of power to how we, like, if we can hold and envision healed outcomes of people. I think that's our power as parents, because we can't control a lot of things, and so that's where our power lies. And I think I'm getting better and better, and my son is teaching me a lot how to support him. And sometimes it's just listening. Like, they're sick of the advice. We get so desperate. So I'm learning just to listen and to let him have his own journey and support him when he needs me.
I can't even imagine. My kid's, she's going to be 10 soon. And I just can't even imagine going through that. Some of the stories that I hear other parents telling about their kids, and some of the stuff I hear in meetings that I attend and everything. And I just can't imagine what it would be like if she was an adult and she was going through such trying times. It's got to be so difficult to take that hopeful approach and to be able to step back and not try to control them. I'm trying to take these lessons that I'm learning from you and others and applying them to Samantha, because she's only 10, but she's for better or for worse, she's a lot like her father, and she is very strong-willed, and she wants to do things her way already, and it's not easy to try to give up some of that control. I just can't imagine what it would be like if she was an adult and going through some of the things that you're explaining.
One thing that is neat, like that my son and I and the family can sort of giggle about and laugh about. At the time it seemed horrible. Like, I had to, for the second psychosis, my son was in British Columbia. He was working on a farm, and I had to go bring him back home, and in a psychotic state. And the airline didn't want to let him on the plane, and I was desperate. Like, I had to get him home. And he was being silly, and I said, But it's funny because now we can look back and smile and talk about it. Like it's not a traumatic. It's just like it was funny if like it wasn't. But you can look back and he was actually really funny at some points. So it helps a lot, where you can smile and look back at those trying times.
Thanks for sharing that. My next little section was going to be about your healthcare experience, but I feel like you've already described it.
You mean finding help?
Like you said, he was manic and he needs a place to run around, and there's huge gaps in the psychiatric care. It wasn't a good experience, right? With the traditional healthcare experience for you.
No, it was not. I think this is how I think psychiatrists, a lot of them do want to help people, but they only understand medication. I think there's no more psychotherapy. Like, I don't know, it's different in Canada. I had talked to Chris Palmer about it. I said, like, how often do you see your patients? I read about, he knows his patients well. You read about it in his book. And he said, well, every week. I'm like, every week? I said, just like the movies. But it's not like the movies here in Canada. I don't know if we have, I mean, we're in Southern Ontario, so we have lots of resources here. It's very populated, but every psychiatrist had this long intake, and my son had to tell a story again. And I even said to one of them, like, don't ask him so many questions anymore. Like, it's all written down. He's tired of that. And then they'd love to give him a diagnosis. And even if they just see him for 15 minutes, they hardly look at him. They're excited because they got another diagnosis and they're going to try this medication. And I mean, I think that's all they know. But like, they weren't trained in ketogenic therapy. And so we just have to be gentle and see who's open to learning about it. And because I'm a nutritionist and I work with clients who are using ketogenic therapy, I'm hearing that some of the psychiatrists are open to it. They're like, oh, interesting. I've never heard of that. It's not going to hurt. And other psychiatrists are like, no, don't do that. That's dangerous. So we need to work though. Like the psychiatrist has to be on board. If anybody's on medications, they have to be on board. So, but yes, I would say he's pretty much done with doctors. So at this point, but there's a little buzz of metabolic psychiatry coming in our area. So this movement is happening, and so I still have like I think there's going to be a lot of change in a good way. Yeah, and we're part of this movement, and so I see some positive things happen, but it wasn't great up
Yeah,
to
and
this
how cool
point.
is that? I like to say that it's like a tidal wave, and it's just growing with momentum, and it can't be stopped. It's just a matter of time, and it seems to be happening really fast, at least in the last couple of months. I mean, it's really going fast. There's been a lot of there's been news stories. I think RFK being in office in America here helps bringing attention and awareness to certain things. There's major food companies are starting to change their ingredients. It's bringing awareness to people that would not know anything about this. I think it's just a matter of time before I'm hoping at some point it's going to be a mainstream option. To me,
Yeah.
it should be, to me, it should be the first option. I know that might not ever happen. They're still going to want to push their pills, but it should be an option for people.
Yep, that's all we're asking. Can you just make it known like you could do this or you could do this? This is one treatment option. And they have to get comfortable. They do have to be trained in it. Or at least work with a team and understand the science before they're comfortable. But I think that's coming because there's more training done, like at McLean's Hospital and probably at Stanford. It's starting to get into the medical school. So I think it's coming.
I think one of the things that could change is just the messaging. Because I know when I was diagnosed as bipolar 2 mixed, this is going back over 20 years ago, but the messaging was it's progressive, just like that pamphlet said it's going to get worse. And it can only be managed through medication. And
Yeah.
it's lifelong medication. And that to me, that was demoralizing. I was getting the diagnosis and I was happy at first because like, all right, great. We know what it is. Let's fix it. Well, by the way, there is no fix. It's just a lifelong. It's going to keep getting worse. And all you can do is take pills. My experience with medicine was not good. And that's true for a lot of people. So at least in the very beginning, and it sent me down a very hopeless path for a while because I thought, well, why am I even trying to do anything with my life? Because it's just going to suck the rest of my life. That's how I felt. And I lost valuable time doing that. If the messaging was different, it could have had a big impact on me.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, all those old books say that, Stephen, that it's lifelong, it gets worse. And yet I'm surrounded by people who are getting better and better. I mean, that's what really keeps me going. I know it's possible, for my son. I know it's possible for people that reach out to me from Ontario to get help. I know it's possible for them. I hold their healed outcome in my vision as well. Or all the people that come to our support group, I hold their son and their daughter's healed outcome. We do it together. And this is why this community is so important to me, because there's living examples to actually contradict the textbooks and the mental health handouts. So I believe that's who I believe, the people who are living it.
So earlier you were talking about all your different diet trends you went through, and you ended up saying that you discovered the ketogenic diet, but I don't think you told us how. How did you first hear about ketogenic therapy for mental health?
It was May 2021, and was it, or no, May, was it 2021 or 2020? Yeah, 2022. And I was listening to Max Lugavere podcast. He was interviewing Dom D'Agostino. It was about Alzheimer's, because tried to learn everything I could about Alzheimer's. I didn't want to get it since my mom had it. And that's when Dom mentioned Chris Palmer, Jan Ellison, Matt Bazuki, and Ian Campbell. Wow, that they were using a ketogenic diet to put their bipolar in remission. Well, Jan being the mother, Chris being the psychiatrist, but Ian, also a researcher, but also putting his bipolar in remission, Matt Bazuki. I had never heard of a dietary intervention for mental illness. And I needed no convincing. There was no skepticism at all, because I just was so excited. And so I reached out to Jan Ellison, and she was really kind. She was my first gateway into this, and I met her at a few conferences. So I started learning about it, reading about it, trying it out myself. And it was a podcast. It was a podcast about Alzheimer's, and I just happened to come upon it. So that was pretty cool.
That's really awesome. And you named all the biggest names there. I didn't even realize that it was a thing back then.
Yeah. I think Metabolic Mind was just starting up. It had a whole different logo and stuff. And but the research was starting. He was doing some things at that time, and then Chris also was publishing some case studies, Chris Palmer. So, yep, it was a thing.
So my next section is about practical challenges with the diet. Maybe we can go a little more rapid fire style with these. These will be beneficial, especially for caretakers. What do you think are the biggest mistakes families make when they're starting this diet for mental health?
Do you mean like caregivers to support somebody?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know about mistake. I just think they have a misconception that somebody can tell them how to force their loved one to do it. That's the big question Matt Bazuki gets at conferences, because he's, young in his 20s, and he does it. But his answer is you can't force them. So my advice is always just live your best life. Do a keto diet. It's good for you. I mean, it's going to be great for your immune system and your brain as a family in solidarity. And that's the food you make. And but you can't force anybody. So, and also giving up too early. So maybe you don't know a lot about it. Maybe you're just doing you don't have enough fats, or you're eating too much protein or something, and you think, keto diet doesn't work, so I'm not going to use it. So I would say those things.
That's great. So it's funny to bring that up, because when we did the cholesterol code panel for Metabolic Collective, when Matt was on there, that question came up. I think it was posed to the whole panel. And I hear that a lot too. People want their friends, their family members or whatever.
Yeah, Robin Dobbins replied to that panel and said, you can't.
Right.
Like, there's nothing you can do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I used to have that same question for myself, and I've come to the same conclusion. It's leading a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
Hmm.
especially when it's if it's people you care about. What do you think makes ketogenic therapy difficult in the real world?
I think for younger people, it's that their friends are all eating other food and they want to join in. Like, food is a thing that brings people together. It's a beautiful community thing where you share food. So I don't find it hard for me at all. Like, even going to restaurants, it's not hard to do this. But I think for the younger generation where they're ordering pizza, having beer, they feel like they're missing out.
It is a difficult challenge, and if you go even younger than that, if you go to like teens and preteens, at least around here, right down the street from the high school and the middle school, there's a Dunkin' Donuts and there's a Starbucks and there's a park. And I take Samantha to that park a lot, and I see all these teens and preteens, and they've all got their sugary drinks. There's some kind of like a fruit bowl place, like Pliables or something like that, and they've all got their fruit bowls too. So I could only imagine if Samantha was that age that she would just want to fit in with her friends too, and they're all just having all this sugary stuff. It's challenging. It's unfortunate because our society does revolve around food, and it's so ingrained in everything we do. And even in Samantha's school, fourth grade, it's like constant parties. Like I think almost every day of the week is some kind of a celebration. They have Fun Friday, and I think they call it Terrific Tuesday, and it's all involved with some kind of sugary treat there. It's a shame. It does make it hard. And for me, it took me a couple of years of grappling with that and trying to find acceptance with that. And I still miss it's not even so much the food item itself, but like the idea of Thanksgiving and having sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie. And when I'm there, I don't even want the food itself, but I just have those memories, and it's so connected and entwined with the food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the younger, it's really, I know what you mean about the classroom in elementary school, bringing in the cupcakes and stuff. There's nothing wrong with a little treat here and there if you're a healthy person, So, but if you're not a healthy person, it's damaging. Or if you're trying to put a psychiatric illness in remission, that would kind of kick you out of ketosis.
Right. And the class that Samantha's in, these are kids that have special needs, and
Mm,
they're there for a reason, and it's mostly for their emotions, their emotional regulation and their behavior, and they just get blasted with sugar all day long. And that
yikes.
makes it really unfortunate. And then we go to like autism events around here, and it's the same every time we go to one of them, and it's pizza, cupcakes, candy, sugary drinks. And I just feel so terrible for the parents and for the kids because they don't realize what they're doing. We should be caring for these kids' brains more than ever. And we don't realize how bad this diet is.
Yeah.
The ketogenic diet typically requires a certain amount of structure. Some people need more structure than others. Some people are tracking their food. Do you have any advice on how to balance structure without becoming obsessive about it?
Well, I think at first it's important to track. For clients, like the advice I give is like you got to get the right amount of protein for sure, but just eat as much fat as until you're satiated. And then let's see if the symptoms improve. So it could be kind of as easygoing as that. As soon as people start tracking, it's a good thing to do, for 4 weeks, just to really be aware of how much protein you're eating, at least, maybe how many carbs you're eating. And then after that, you don't need to track it. So it's just a short-term thing, and then you just know you have a sense of what makes you feel good. So that's why I think doesn't have to be completely structured. It can be quite simple in the end. You know, if you're not getting better, then there's a little more precision investigating. But for the most part, it could be just tracking for a short time.
Yeah, great message there, especially like you said in the beginning, trying to establish some kind of a baseline. And
Hmm.
there are some people that their brain fog is so bad that they can't track, and I've worked with people where I'm helping them do their tracking for them just to get them just to start,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And there's some people that they dread it they hate it, they don't want to do it. And one of the things I try to do with people is try to make it where it's more manageable. No, so I teach people how to use chronometer a lot and setting up meals and trying to make it more manageable. And then there's some people like myself where I'm currently not tracking like I used to, but I'm like a data geek, and there's a lot of people that are like that, and I just want to. I love tracking everything, and I do it. I still track food for my daughter. So for those kind of people, like they may want to make it a long term thing to track their food. Sometimes it just that structure helps people.
Hmm.
So what role do you think community support plays in long term success?
Oh, huge. Like it's almost like you need somebody in your household to be eating the same as you. Um, you don't feel so alone. It just keeps you going. You have the accountability. You have people who understand what you've been through. I think that helps a lot. Like the comment we get a lot in our support group is, geez, this is like therapy because nobody, like people are very kind and compassionate, but they don't really understand what we've been through as parents. So it just makes you feel heard and hey, it's like it's a metabolic therapy. So it's one of the metabolic therapies, connection, community. So I really think it's important for success and long term. You got to find this kind of group, and they're very welcoming, and they want to help. Like those who are have found good health, they're coming back. They're reaching out to Metabolic Collective and like, how can I give back?
Yep, I agree with you 100%. And I hear from people a lot. They tell me, like, how do you manage to do so much with so little time? You know, because I'm running Mia's group. I have the Metabolic Brotherhood that I started. I do lead the Mamas group once in a while. And it's so great. And, I might lead, like, I led a meetup today and it was all new people. And we're talking about basics and people transitioning. And I don't think anybody there realizes how much it's helping me to be there and just given the basics. And that's one of the answers I'll give to people. Like, it's therapy for me. It is literally, it makes me feel good. And sometimes I'm having a terrible day and I'm like, I got to meet up. I'd rather like, go take a walk in the sun or whatever. And it never fails that I get on and within 5 minutes, I feel better. And by the time I'm done, it's like I never even had that bad morning anymore. That's how powerful it is.
Yeah, serving, right? That's part of the AA model is serving. That's where you can heal.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So here's something I'm personally very interested in your metabolic collective and advocacy. I want to know how you became involved with MC to begin with.
So after I had seen Jan Ellison, who started Metabolic Mind, she's the one we talked on the phone over about my son, and I met her at a few conferences. I saw her, and I told her that whenever I'm finished my nutrition training, like it took me about 3 years part time, I said I wanted to volunteer for Metabolic Mind. And she said that would be amazing. And so when I finished, I swear, like I had written my board exam, and I probably the next day I emailed her and said, let's go. And so she said, well, you know, on the guidance under Hannah Warren, they want to start a, well, a collective, but a place where we can utilize volunteers. So Metabolic Mind, there's no structure for volunteers. They are hired staff, they work, they, fund research, they put all the information out, and it's not really a volunteer organization. And so this is sort of, we're sister to them. So she connected me. I had already met Hannah before at a conference, and we'd been in touch. And that's how it started, because her and one of our other board directors, MJ Lehman, had met somewhere and they decided they wanted to start. So they were sort of the founders of it. And then I almost didn't go to San Diego. There was a conference, and another person on the board, really wonderful mentor, she said, you should go, you should go. She was going to go, and Hannah was going to be there, and MJ, and it was expensive, and then Hannah had she had a hotel room with an extra bed, and she said, well, you can just stay with me. So I'm like, it's meant to be, And so I'm so glad I went, because then I met MJ Lehman, who he was very picky about who was going to be on the board. And so we hit it off right away. And that was sort of our first board meeting in San Diego, which was 2024 in the summer. So, and that's how I got involved. And then we really did a lot of envisioning. It really has evolved and changed over time, because like, were we a volunteer organization? Not really. Like, we thought we have to stop saying we have volunteer positions. It's no, no, no. We support other advocacy efforts, right? So, and that's what it has finally evolved into. So we take out the word volunteer. It's more like anybody who's interested in advocating, we can support them. We have meetings to support them, or we have like posters, we have slides if they want to do a presentation. We bring a lot of people together, like we connect people and support people in different areas. They come together. So it's become a bit of a hub for that. So it's a wonderful relationship with Metabolic Mind. The two of us work together really well. And they'll often send, desperate parents will reach out to Metabolic Mind, or desperate people, and they can send them our way, because we have the people that can, peers, we have peer support, caregiver support. So some people they don't want to advocate, they're just lost, and they just need somebody who understands, somebody to say, hey, listen, I'm going to give you a virtual hug, hang in there. Like, and we try to do our best to support people as well.
You used a great word in there, and you called it a hub, and that's how I look at it. It's like the central hub for this whole community. And I've been loving it. The Facebook group, even, like, just to have everybody that I know in this space and everybody in there, and then all these new people that have come along. It's been really cool. And I'm very fortunate. I was involved with MC since like the very beginning. I remember the first couple of focus groups we did, and seeing it change and evolve. And I think the timing couldn't be any better. I think it's perfect. And so that leads me to the Mamas group. Are we still calling it Mamas? I can't stop calling it Mamas. I know. What is it called
I
now?
know.
What is it called
The
now?
mamas and the papas.
Yeah.
We changed the name, but we changed the name to Family and Friends Support Group, but founded by mamas, because we love the Robin Dobbins came up with MAMAS, which stands for Mom Advocates of Metabolic Awareness and Support. And but then the papas were showing up, and we didn't want the papas not to feel welcome. Yeah, so we got some regular papas in there,
Yeah.
or the sisters, or the brothers, or the friends, or the cousins. So it's for everybody. Yeah, so that was founded in October. And that was sort of a pilot project. That was one of our first autonomous groups out of Metabolic Collective. And we piloted it with a few people of my own clients who, like, I get a lot of mothers or fathers reaching out to me to help their child. So, I had a group from there, and then a few parents from the community. So we kind of piloted it without really publicizing it. It's really successful. We seem to have a regular group with some new people coming here and there. And it's like, I don't even drink tea very often, but I tell you, every time it's Mama's night, I make a tea, because I feel like I'm just sitting around with people who understand. And maybe I have some words of wisdom one week, and then somebody else has words of wisdom that really resonate with me. And then behind the scenes, you make friends with them, and they're WhatsApping you with, they're supporting you when you're feeling down, and then I'm supporting them when they're feeling down, or so it's become a bit of a friendship. I really would love to meet them in person, and people can just come in and listen. They don't have to share. And it's just it's just it's a beautiful group. I wish that I had that in 2022 when I was terrified, because I think I would have had even greater hope, but at least support. At least I wouldn't have felt so like confused. and alone in this, and just like, what is happening? Like, nobody knows how to help my son. What do I know? I'm not a, medical practitioner. So it's still going strong. We meet every 2 weeks uh, by Zoom.
It's an amazing group, and I consider myself extremely fortunate that I can attend, because I'm an individual that I do the diet for myself, but because I'm doing it for my daughter, it gives me a place to show up. And I wish, here's what I wish. I wish that it was every week, and I wish I could go every week. That's how much I love it. It's every other week, and with my schedule, I'm only able to make it once a month now. But even that, I love it so much. It's a great place. I love, you get, like you said, you got like the same regulars are there. You kind of know what to expect, who's going to be there. It's hard to put it into words. The way that I feel when I'm done with that group is always, it just something like on a spiritual level. It's just so amazing. I always feel just so much better about myself and my situation. And even if it's a night where people are sharing, people are suffering, there might be some crying going on. Even on those nights, I come away, I feel so grounded and connected, and it's really been amazing. It's such a blessing for us to have a group like that.
It is. I feel the same way, Stephen. Our meeting last night, which you weren't there, the thing I took away from that was accept uncertainty and then even befriend uncertainty. So we often have that theme of surrender, and allow our child that they're on their own spiritual journey. So that's sort of what I got. That little tidbit kept me going today. Really, it helped a lot.
That's great. Yeah. So the reason that I missed now, I'm running a meetup on that Wednesday. We look at it like, Mia founded that meetup, and it's like her baby, and I'm trying to nurture and grow her baby. And this is one of the ways I'm doing it. I needed to have a weeknight meeting because I need to accommodate people in Australia, people in Hawaii, all around the world that can't come to the regular, like the Sunday morning meeting. Some people are just going to church and they can't make a Sunday morning meeting. And then I have a weekly meeting that I do Thursdays at noon, but that's a limited crowd too. I get a lot of people in the UK because it's like their evening, but a lot of people are working. But in order to grow this thing, I need to have that Wednesday night meeting, and I only have so much time for so many things. It's just the way it falls. In order for me to, I'm trying to have a moderate approach to doing things instead of always being so extreme. That's what I've done my whole life, is being very, very extreme, and I want to be all gas and no brakes, but I need to pump the brakes. I need to have a moderate approach. I need to have balance, and that's one of the ways I can do it. And I can rationalize it. Hey, I get to go to Mama's once a month. That's a privilege. I get to run a meetup once a month on a Wednesday night too. That's also a privilege. These are all privileges. So I just made it work for myself.
Yeah, that's healthy.
I'm trying. I'm is one of the ways that I've been trying to improve over the last year or so is trying to take a moderate approach to the way I do things. So I did have some questions about Canada and public awareness.
It's the same as the States, pretty much, I would think. I think your NAMI, is it NAMI? NAMI. I think they're a little more progressive, though. I think I see a lot of positive things happening. And so we got to work on our version here. But I do think this area, Hamilton, Toronto, we're starting to get a hub of really like some psychiatrists, some registered dietitians, the a university professor who held a conference, kind of some of the Bazooki group connections, Metabolic Mind. So yes, I think there's going to be some movement happening, but I wouldn't say it's much different than the US over the last, years.
I have this question here. It's a personal question. It's about your background in education and music and math, and how did it shape the way that you think today?
Well, I mean, I'm a high school teacher, and so being in education, you sort of are a lifelong learner. So I'm constantly wanting to learn new things, taking a lot of courses, but also I am with adolescents every day, teenagers, and I can see a lot of the mental health issues. And there's been a lot of change because now kids are just openly talking about their meds and whatever, and the anxiety is through the roof. I did even have a kid that was in psychosis once. This is before I knew about it. And I was like, I used to stay in at lunch and help him because he had like about 3 or 4 concussions. And he was acting strange and telling me all about the universe and drawing it. And I was a little bit confused. But just in general, I don't know if that shaped me, because I think what shaped me and my whole purpose in life, a big purpose, was my son's illness. And that's, it's more comes from a mother. Just so but I think that part, the part that shaped me because of my son, has made me a better teacher, more compassionate, more understanding of mental health, more like, I meditate with the kids. I start the class off with a meditation. It's not all about, like, I teach advanced functions and I teach music, but who cares about advanced functions? Like, they need it for university, but I just try to help them be a better person, to make better choices. I sneak in little stuff, about just what sugar does to them. And so I would say it's the opposite. Like, and of course, education, music, have like a little side career in music. It's, that was fun and whatnot. But my experience as a mother has just, I think, made me a better person, actually, in a way. Like, just being a mother to all my kids, and even having kids, even without mental health issues, just makes you a better teacher.
That's an amazing answer. And I remember over the time that I've talked to you and you mentioned your kids and all, and you told me some of this stuff already. And I just think, man, how lucky are these kids to have someone like you in their life? If you're just helping one of these kids open up their eyes a little bit and changing their life a little bit in that direction, it's just so amazing. They are so lucky to have you.
Yes, we should. I hope everybody listens to you, my own kids. See, guys, kids. I'm kidding. I think, yeah, they appreciate me.
That's good. So is there anything else you want to get into before we go to our closing questions?
Oh, no, I think we've covered a lot.
Me too.
And yeah, I think we can do our closing questions.
Perfect. Yeah, you answered a lot of my stuff along the way that I didn't even have to bother asking. So this has been great so far. All right, so here we go. This is my closing. Starting off, we're going to have 2 questions that are posed to your younger self. And the first one is going to be related to diet and mental or physical health. The second one's not related to health. So here's the first one. What is a piece of advice you'd give to your younger self before you discovered this diet? Something along the lines of how to get through the tough times.
Oh, wow. I mean, geez, stop those carbs, all those carbs and all that sugar. Stop! You have no idea. Did you know that you could be a lot sharper, that you would not hey, younger self, you know how you used to always lose your train of thought when you were talking, especially if you're in front of people? That was your brain not working right. So I would say, just, hey, let's start with cutting that sugar. That would be my advice.
Perfect. I would do that for myself too if I could go back. Yeah, man. I had no idea all the years that I was a vegetarian and a vegan, and I didn't even know what a carbohydrate was. I might just go back and tell my younger self, this is what a carbohydrate is and this is what it does to your brain.
Same.
So the second question is not related to diet or mental health. It's just going back in time and giving your younger self one piece of advice. What would it be?
It would be what Bob Marley, every little thing's going to be okay. Because when you're younger, things seem bigger than they are, and you get disappointed in things or scared or whatever, but it seems to work out. It's like, oh my God, I was dreading that. It worked out better than I thought. So as I'm older, nothing really phases me as much. Plus, my brain's better too, right? I can cope a lot better, but you don't realize that when you're younger. And so my younger self, I would just say, you don't have to worry so much. It's going to work out. Maybe not how you think it is, but just be curious instead of disappointed. Be curious. Oh, I didn't get what I wanted. I wonder what's going to come from this. So that would be my advice.
That's amazing advice. And what I like about these questions and that one in particular is that you're giving this advice to your younger self, but it's appropriate for really anybody at any stage of their life. So anybody
Hmm.
listening can take that advice and they can use it to improve their lives. Thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And last up, I have my signature question. This is a question that encourages you to share a broader, more philosophical insight or a life lesson that ties into your experience with the ketogenic lifestyle and provides something meaningful and potentially new even after our in depth interview. What's one powerful piece of fat fueled philosophy, a life lesson, or a mantra that you've embraced on your ketogenic journey and that you think could inspire our listeners?
I'm going to steal something that really stuck with me from she was one of my instructors in my nutrition program for the she was like my biochemistry instructor, but she was pretty brilliant. But she was also my spirit mind body mentor or instructor, but I call her a mentor because we did have a one-on-one. And she said miracles are normicals. And I love that because, in other words, we think a miracle is like a one off, but she says they happen every day. They're normal. And you just have to almost expect them and be still and see them. And so anything's possible. It doesn't matter if this person never healed from this, doesn't mean you're not going to, because miracles are normicals. Or you have this diagnosis and you can heal from it. Or so that's, I think, is just when you don't have all the answers, just believe in a miracle because they're normicals. So that's my fat fueled philosophy.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so now you know what comes next. This has been a long time. I had to I had to go
Yeah.
digging
I
to
know what comes next.
yeah, I had to go digging to find my stuff. I'm gonna take my earbuds out, so I won't be able to hear you for a second, but I'm gonna put the old get up on. Stuff was buried that I
I
didn't
got
even know
my
it
I
was.
got my Blue Jay cap.
Jeans out. Get into my rapper persona. So the whole idea of this is we're talking about metabolic therapies, and I have my tenets in life. And one of my tenets is just to have fun and enjoy life because otherwise, like, what are we even doing here on this planet going through this journey if we're not going to have some fun? All right. So I slip into my rapper persona and I have the tagline for my show. It's fix yourself with fat. I've asked all my guests so far to do this. Look at you. You're all ready to go.
I'm
Ready?
ready.
Mine is fix yourself with fat. Let's hear what you got.
Okay, so as a musician, you know I'm gonna have to sing you a song, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. I have a few things I like to say. Fix yourself with fat today. No need to fear fat, you will see. It saved my friend Stephen T. Yeah. But da 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 da. How was that?
Great. That was great. Now you're the second person to sing a song. I'm sure you remember Natasha. You're the second person to sing a song now. You guys are raising the bar for everybody
Yep.
that's coming after you. I love it. I love it. It's great.
N- Natasha is trouble, I'm telling you.
When I was doing that with her, I knew she had a song coming, but I had no idea what it was, and I was blown away by that. You just did an awesome job. That was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a lot of fun. But yeah, thanks, Stephen, for bringing the fun into this always. We have to laugh because
Exactly.
we
Exactly.
can't cry all the time, right? And
Right, right.
life's good. Life is good.
It is. And seeing us goofy like this, it reminds me of our very first Metabolic Collective meeting that we did. It was like a meal up, I think we called it, where people
Yeah,
were bringing their food and we were like goofy t-shirts and goofy hats and stuff like that. Like just to add a little fun to life because laughter is another metabolic therapy, right?
it
It,
is.
it's
Yeah.
good for us. Yeah. Janet, I really appreciate you being my first guest back from my break and helping me get my groove back. And it's been a pleasure. It's a long time coming, and I'm just really grateful to have you as a friend and to have you as a leader in this community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen, for all you do too. It's an honor to be your friend and to be in this movement together.
Thank you.
Thanks.